Hey, y'all, let's cover the linear inequalities and working with formulas. The part one piece for this is the inequalities. And inequalities just looks like these little critters given here, these symbols. Instead of just using an equal sign, you'll have, I'm going to start with this one. This one is less than, less than. And just an example for you would be let's just use numbers. 3 is less than 5. We're not going to be using that. We're going to be using something like x is less than 5. Okay. The next one I'm going to go to is this little guy, and it is greater than, and it's always read from left to right. So in this case, I'm going to say that 4 is greater than 1. Again, you're going to see x instead. So we'll use x is greater than 1. The next one, I'm not going to use numbers for because it wouldn't make sense. Instead, I'm going to just use the variable x. And using the same guy as this one is less than, and then the bottom part means or equal to. So this is less than or equal to. That little line underneath there means it could be equal to, all right? And so your example would be x is less than or equal to, let's just use 7. And then the last one we have here is the greater than or equal to. And your example here would be x is greater than or equal to 6. All right, so these are what the inequalities are, these four right here. We are going to solve using our normal process, but we're going to make sure, and I'll show you this as we get to it, that you're going to change or flip the inequality when you multiply through both sides or divide both sides by a negative number. We're going to have plenty of practice with that. When you're graphing your solution set, I know these are words that you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'll tell you, I promise. When you're graphing your solution set on a number line, because that's what we're going to be utilizing, you're going to use brackets, or a closed filled in circle. So that could be a circle, but it has to be closed in. It has to be a shaded in circle to denote that it's going to be part of the including the endpoint. You're going to use parentheses or an open empty circle to denote that we are not including the endpoint. Again, I'm going to show you what I'm referring to with this. Basically, if it's greater than or less than or equal to, then bracket. If it's just less than or greater than, it's going to be parentheses or the circle. So solving each and graph the solution set. I'm going to do more than that. I'm going to solve each, I'm going to graph the solution set, and then I'm going to add what's called an interval notation. And interval notation. Now, those of you who are going on to College Algebra Trig, you will be using interval notation the entire time. You have to get a good handle on this. Those of you who are moving on to problem solving or statistics, you're not going to see this. But those of you who are going on to 1590 will be seeing this a lot. It is required. So let's just start by solving. We're going to pretend like that less than sign is just an equal sign. Don't change it. We're just going to solve this normally. Don't freak out. 8 is attached to x by subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. So we're going to add 8 to both sides of the inequality. When you do that, the 8's are gone and we're left with x is less than 5 plus 8 is 13. That is solved. Now, this is proper for an inequality. This is called an inequality notation. Inequality notation. Now I'm going to graph this. This is just a basic number line. I always like to have 0 represented. And then we also want to have 13. I'm not going to put hash marks up to 13. No, I'm just going to go 13's there. Booyah. Okay. Now I need to decide, does 13 get a circle or a dot? Is it less than or equal to, or is it just less than? It is just less than, so it just gets a circle on 13, not a closed-in dot. The other thing I want you to make sure is always make sure your variable, or your, in this case, your x, is on the left side of the inequality notation. So we've got x is less than the 13. If you do that, if you keep your variable on the left, your inequality is going to be pointing in the direction that it needs to go. So x0 is less than 13. So that means your arrow is going to the left. This is the graphed set. All right, this is the graphed solution. The last piece of this is you need to understand on this graph, there's two things. One, if that arrow keeps going on and on forever to the left, the last number it gets to, no such thing, is negative infinity, because we don't know what the last number to the left is. So we denote that by negative infinity. If the arrow was going to the right, as we're going to be doing here in a minute, it would be heading towards positive infinity. I'm going to talk about that one in a minute. Right now, we're going to the left towards negative infinity. So just like reading a book or anything else, we read from left to right. If that's the case, we're coming from the furthest left we can get to. And the furthest left we can get to is negative infinity. So we're coming from negative infinity and we're going up to 13. Okay. Here's what you need to understand. Because we do not know what negative infinity is, we don't know that number, we can't include it. It cannot be a bracket, ever, ever, ever. Negative infinity will always be a parenthesis. That's not something you have to ever think about. You just need to know that if there is a negative or a positive infinity, it must be a parenthesis. Now, the one you do need to think about is this 13. It is not included. It is just a circle, not a dot. So it receives a parenthesis as well because it is not included and the endpoint. If it was, it would get a bracket and there would be a cute little equal sign underneath there. So this is your interval notation. Okay, let's go down here to B. B is y plus 11 greater than or equal to 6. I want you to attempt this one without me first. Just why wouldn't you? You know, give yourself a chance to see what you can do. You've got my notes here, and we've already discussed some things. Go attempt it, pause the video, and then come back to see how you did. All right, please note that it is greater than or equal to. All right, go do that and then come back. So y has 11 added to it. To get rid of that 11, we need to subtract 11 from both sides. This is gone. We've got y is greater than or equal to. The signs are different, so we subtract them and take the sign of the larger number, or use your calculator, 6 minus 11. Either way, this is your interval. This is your inequality notation. Let's do the graph. And we've got -5. So I'm going to put my 0 over here, -5 over here. All right. Since we have this greater than or equal to, that -5 must be a dot. All right. And because my variable, my y, is on the left side, I know that this is pointing the direction I need to go, but I can also check it. I know that 0 is greater than -5. So the arrow is going off in this direction. There's my graphed piece. The last part of this is my interval notation. Again, always, always, always left to right. When you're coming down that number line, what's the first number we hit? We hit -5, and it's included. So -5 is included, so it gets a bracket, not a parenthesis. And what is it heading towards? It is heading towards positive infinity. We don't know what that number is. You do not have to, with positive infinity, reference it with the positive in front. You do have to reference the negative infinity. Positive infinity can just be written as infinity. And remember, infinity, positive and negative, is always a parenthesis. Okay, that is your interval notation. This means that from -5 included is going all the way to positive infinity, which we don't even know what that is, so it is not included. All right. If you have any questions as you're working through this, please make sure you note that so that we can discuss it. Meet up on Zoom. All right, the last one down here on this left side is 3 is multiplied to x is less than or equal to 12. Again, pause the video, attempt this, and come back. So I'm going to do 3 is multiplied to x, opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by the 3. That is gone, and we're left with x is less than or equal to 4. That's our inequality notation. Now I'm going to graph it. There's 0. There's 4. It has the cute little equal sign, so I do need to create a full filled in circle. X is on my left, so I know it's pointing to the left. I can also check it because 0 is less than 4. So it is going to the left. And don't forget to draw your arrow. All right, there's my graph piece. The last one is my interval notation. And to do that, again, think about it left to right. What's the furthest number to the left that we're coming from? Negative infinity. Because negative infinity is all the way that way. And we're coming up to 4. Negative infinity is negative, never included. Our 4, however, because it's the equal sign, it is included. It gets a bracket. So notice you may have 2 parentheses. You may have a bracket and a parenthesis. You may have a parenthesis and a bracket, or you may have a bracket and a bracket. We haven't seen that yet. And I don't know if you're going to see that in this class. You're definitely going to see it if you get to into college algebra. All right. So the furthest number to the left is negative infinity, and it's coming all the way to 4, and then it's stopping, but it is including 4. All right, let's come to the next one. This one I want you to watch because there's some specific piece of it I want you to see. All right. So we're going to have to see that -5 is attached to y by multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by -5. Now, what I told you, this reduces to y. This 35 divided by 5 is 7. Negative divided by negative is a positive. I told you up here, where's it at? Right here. Make sure to change or flip the inequality whenever you multiply both sides or divide both sides by a negative number. In this case, we're dividing both sides by a negative. So that inequality completely flips sides. It flips over. So from -5y greater than -35 becomes y is less than 7. All right, that is my inequality notation. Let's do my graph. Got a 0, got a 7. Now, there is no equal sign with this. It's just y is less than. So this receives a circle, not a dot. And it's going to the left because y is less than. 0 is less than 7. So we're moving it to the left. Writing your interval notation, you start from the furthest number to the left, which is your negative infinity. Remember, your infinities all get parentheses. We're going up to 7, but it is not included. Does not have the equal sign piece with it. That is your interval notation for this one. All right, you've seen everything. All right, this one, a couple different ways we can do this. My favorite way to do it is one piece at a time. I don't want to multiply through by I mean, you could multiply through by a -4, but I find that students get a little bit confused with that. So instead, let's just do one piece at a time. Let's get rid of the fraction first. Remember, to get rid of the fraction, just multiply through by the least common denominator. In this case, it is 4. So the LCD is 4. So we're going to multiply both sides of this inequality by 4. So 4 times -1/4 x is less than 4 times 6. These reduce to 1, and we're left with -1x is less than 24. 4 times 6 is 24. Now we can get rid of the -1 by dividing through or multiplying both sides by -1. I'm just going to divide because that seems to make sense to most students. When you divide by a negative, the inequality must flip. So x is now greater than, a positive divided by a negative is a negative, and it is 24. Let's do our line, number line, -24. There is no equal sign with this, so it just gets a dot. I'm sorry, it gets a circle. And x is greater than, so that means it has to go towards the 0. Lastly, let's go ahead and write our interval notation. Starting from left to right, -24 is our furthest number to the left. It is not included. It's got a circle. And then it is heading towards positive infinity. Again, infinities are never included. They're always parentheses. All right, now I want you to pause the video, attempt this last one on this page yourself, and see how you do. Okay, I'm going to start by getting rid of the 5. It is subtracted from 2x, so I'm going to add 5 to both sides. 2x is less than or equal to 12. 2 is multiplied to x, so we're going to divide both sides by 2. And x is less than or equal to, notice I didn't flip it. I didn't flip it because I didn't divide by a negative. I divided by a positive. So don't think you just flip because you divide. It's only if you're dividing through by a negative. So x is less than or equal to 6. All right, there's my inequality annotation. Let's create our number line, 0 and 6. 6 is included because it has this little equal sign with it. So your circle is filled in. It is a dot. And x is less than. 0 is less than 6, so the arrow is going towards the left. So it's heading towards negative infinity. That's the furthest number to our left. Remember, when you write your interval notation, it must start with the furthest number to the left that is included or not included. In this case, it is negative infinity, parenthesis because of not knowing what it is, and then going up to 6. 6 is included because of the equal sign, and that is your answer for your interval notation. All right, looks like we've got 4 more of these for this video, and then I'll do a new video for the next one. Okay, what's your LCD? What's your LCD? I want you to pause the video and attempt this one yourself. Start by getting rid of the fractions. This is great practice for you. Get rid of your fractions first. Multiply everything through by your LCD, and then solve for y. It looks like you're going to have to do a flip of the inequality, so be careful with that. Pause and then come back to see how you did. Okay, my LCD for this one has to be a number that both 5 and it's the smallest number that 5 and 3 divide into evenly. Well, in this case, it's going to be 15 because it's 5 times 3. Gosh, what knows it? All right. So I'm going to multiply every single term by 15. So the first thing I'm going to do. Oh, minus 15 times 1/3 greater than or equal to 15 times 2/3. All right. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So this becomes 3 times -1y. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So 5 times 1 greater than or equal to 15 divided by 3 is 5. times 2. All right, let's clean this up. 3 times -1 is -3. Don't forget your y. -5 times 1 is -5. Greater than or equal to 5 times 2 is 10. Let's solve for y. First thing we need to get rid of is this -5. So we have to add 5 to both sides of the equal sign. We get -3y on is greater than or equal to 10 plus 5 is 15. -3 is attached to y by multiplication, so we're going to divide both sides by -3. And when we do that, we have to flip our inequality. Keep the equal sign piece, but flip your inequality. This becomes y is less than or equal to positive divided by a negative is a negative. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So that is your inequality notation. Let's create our graph. -5 and 0. It is included for -5, so it becomes a dot, not a circle. And y is less than. 0 is greater than, so that means my arrow is going to the left towards -infinity. Writing your interval notation from left to right, -infinity up to -5, and -5 is included because it is a dot and also because of the equal sign. Go down here to h. Keep it decimals. I know that there's an opportunity if you want to multiply everything by 10. I find too many mistakes happen. Just use your calculators, please. I beg of you. So let's start by, you're going to get rid of that 1.3 that's attached by subtraction. We're going to add it to both sides. Adding and subtracting does not change that inequality. Only multiplication and division on both sides does. So 1.3 is being added to both sides. This is gone. You've got -7.8x is greater than, we haven't divided through by negative yet, 23.4. All right, now we're going to divide both sides by -7.8. And when we do that, it becomes x is less than, positive divided by negative is a negative. What's my calculator? 23.4 divided by -7.8 is -3. Cool. Let's do our graph. 0, -3. Not included, so it's just a circle. And then x is less than, so it's heading to the left. The furthest number to the left is -infinity. Left to right, -infinity, stopping at -3, but it is not included, so it gets a parenthesis. Ooh, this next one looks fun. Attempt this next one yourself. Pause the video, go attempt it, and come back to see how you did. So we're going to distribute this 6. 6 times 5. Now, I'm not going to just do my little arrows. I'm going to show you again how to do this. So it's going to be 6 times 5, and then plus 6 times -3x. That is the distribution piece. 6 times 5 is 30. Positive times a negative is negative. 6 times 3 is 18. Don't forget your x. Well, I mean, it depends on how great they were. All right, let's solve for x. Let's get rid of this 30 first. We'll subtract both sides with 30. Gone. -18x is less than. Signs are the same, so you add the numbers. Keep the sign. Your calculator, if you would like. All right, the next part, we're going to solve for x by dividing both sides by -18. X, this becomes a greater than, because we're dividing by a negative. 36 divided by 18 is 2. I'm sorry, negative divided by negative is a positive. Let's do our number line. 0, 2. There's not an equal sign, so you get a circle instead of a dot. And then x is greater than, so 0 is less than, so it must go off to the right. Last thing is to create your interval notation. Left to right, we start with 2. It is not included because it is a circle. And then it's headed off towards positive infinity, which also gets a parenthesis. Oh, this next one's got a lot going on. You're going to have to move things around. Here's my goal for you before you pause the video and attempt this one yourself, which I want you to do. I want you to make sure that when you are done with your inequality notation, you've got your variable on the left and your number on the right. I don't care what else you have to do to get there, but that's your goal. Make sure that after you distribute and combine like terms, you get all your variables on the left to where you've got your one variable and then your numbers on the right and combine those to where you can find out where you're headed. Pause the video, go attempt this one and come back to see how you did. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this as negative 2x plus 4 is less than 5. I'm going to work on this distribution of negative 3 times 2x and negative 3 times negative 6. Negative 3 times 2x is a negative times a positive, which is a negative. 3 times 2 is 6x. Negative times the negative is a positive. 3 times 6 is 18. Combining like terms, 5 plus 18 is 23. This I'm just going to bring down. Don't forget your inequality. Do not change that to an equal sign. The next thing we want to do is get our x's on the left, our numbers on the right. You can start wherever you want. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4 from both sides. (23 minus 4 is 19. Keep in mind you subtract and take the sign of the larger number. 23 is positive. Your 19 needs to be positive. Now we need to get our x's on the left. So I'm going to add 6x to both sides. Negative 2 plus 6. The signs are different, so we subtract them. Take the sign of the larger number. All right, the last piece here. Oh, fantastic. So there, it's positive. We're dividing both sides by 4. And x is less than 19 over 4. Now, I'll discuss the mixed number with you here in a minute. Let's just get our graph, and let's get our interval notation, and then I'll do a mixed number. Because the mixed number is strictly for mom, not for me. This is a 19/4 that's positive, so it's somewhere to the right of 0. All right. It is not included, so it gets a circle, not a dot, and x is less than. 0 is less than, x is less than, so it's going, the arrow is going to the left. Finally, for your interval notation, coming from negative infinity, that's the furthest number from the left. I don't care that the arrow is pointing to the left. It's when you're reading it as coming from the left. What's the furthest number to the left? And that's negative infinity. Coming up to 19/4, it is not included because of the circle and because there's no equal sign. Now, for mom, because mom may ask for a mixed number. Let's change that 19/4 to a mixed number. So 19 divided by 4. Now, take your calculators. 19 divided by 4 is 4 point something. So your whole number is going to be 4, and then you're going to have a fraction for your answer for your mixed number. Whatever the numerator is, we'll discuss in a minute. What you need to understand is whatever this denominator is also your denominator here. There's nothing to calculate for that. So we found out that it's 4 times that this 4 goes into 19. All you need to do is find out what's the difference between 19 and what these two multiplied are. Well, these two multiplied are 4 times 4, which are 16. Subtract it. 19 minus 16 is 3, so that's your remainder. 4 3/4 is your mixed number. All right, that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one.